Hi there students. In this video I'd like to look at two verbs, to overshadow and to eclipse. To overshadow literally means to darken something by casting a shadow over it. So for example, that large block of flats overshadows my garden during most of the day. So it casts a shadow on my garden, which would be illuminated by the sun if it wasn't there. But we more commonly use overshadow, meaning to dominate something, to make it seem less significant, to dwarf. She's a very beautiful girl, but her beauty is overshadowed by the beauty of her sister. Her sister is so much more beautiful that she doesn't look so beautiful. Or maybe her beauty is overshadowed by her unpleasant character. We can also use to overshadow, meaning to spoil something, to take the pleasure out of it. So the picnic was overshadowed by the fight between James and John. So the picnic was fun, but there was this fight and it took the pleasure out of it. It was the significant event. At the moment, everything seems to be shadowed by COVID-19. Or maybe Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson. Dr. Watson's ideas are always overshadowed by the brilliance of Sherlock Holmes. Now let's look at the word to eclipse. An eclipse of the sun, when the moon goes between the earth and the sun and everything goes dark. An eclipse is when one astronomical body comes between the observer and another astronomical body that he's looking at. But again, we use to eclipse metaphorically. So if something eclipses something else, it is more noticeable than. So the World Cup final eclipses any other sporting events that are taking place at the same time. His bad pronunciation eclipsed the interesting content of what he was saying. So in a way, to eclipse, to outshine, or to diminish the importance, the fame, the reputation of something, to deprive something of significance or of power. So, for example, as well, Theresa May's term as Prime Minister was eclipsed by arguments about Brexit. You could just as easily say overshadowed. Her term as Prime Minister was overshadowed by Brexit. Now, with eclipse, you can also use this meaning to fall into obscurity, to decline. The fixed telephone is now in eclipse. It's disappearing. It's becoming less and less important. His career went into eclipse after he made a serious mistake. So notice this phrase, in eclipse, in the shadow, if you like. This scandal brought about his eclipse, brought about his downfall. But most commonly we use eclipse meaning one thing outshines another. One thing overshadows another. It's more important. Okay? So, to overshadow. Events were overshadowed by the death of the Prime Minister. Events were eclipsed by the death of the Prime Minister. I hope he's fine. Okay, so eclipse and overshadow. Both of these are regular verbs. Eclipse, eclipsed. Overshadow, overshadowed. Now, next question, formality. I think probably both of these are slightly formal. I'd probably give them both something like a 6 in formality. Although I think you could use both of them in an informal conversation, and I think you could use both of them in something semi-formal or something very formal as well. So nice and flexible. Okay, so to overshadow, to cast a shadow over, to make something else look insignificant, to take the pleasure away from something. To eclipse, one astronomical body in front of another. To eclipse, to make one thing becomes much more noticeable than everything else. Or to eclipse, to diminish the importance of. And then in eclipse, in decline, going into obscurity. So there you go, overshadow and eclipse. If you enjoyed the video, give it a rating. Wait a second, no, I missed a couple of things. The origins of these. So overshadow comes from Latin, ob, umbra. Ob, over, and umbra, a shadow. And eclipse comes from the Latin eclipsis, an eclipse, which comes from Greek eklepsis. Ek, out, and lepsis, leave or leave behind. Okay, and those are the origins. So if you enjoyed the video, give it a rating, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.